she stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here. I'm gonna handle that.
Snoop Dogg's entire image, the family man, the loyal husband, the respected father figure of hip-hop, might be built on a lie, and not a small one. A lie so big, it could completely reshape the story of one of music's most famous families. According to multiple people close to him, Snoop recently received DNA test results showing that none of his 4 children with Shante Corday, Cordell, Corey, and Julian are biologically his. This isn't rumor mill gossip. This is a legal bomb waiting to explode. Sources say Snoop is now preparing to file for divorce, with one goal in mind: to expose the truth, no matter who gets hurt in the process.
The turmoil and the stuff that I put her through in my journey on becoming successful, because I had no understanding of what I was doing her, how I was hurting her.
For nearly 30 years, the Brodus family has been treated like an untouchable empire. Fans saw Snoop and Shante as proof that real love could survive the chaos of the music industry. Married since 1997, they even renewed their vows in 2008 after a brief split in 2004. A public declaration that their bond was unbreakable. Together, they built a family brand. Cameras followed them into their home, on Snoop Dogg's fatherhood, where viewers saw a strict but loving dad guiding his kids with jokes, discipline, and old-school wisdom. But behind the scenes, the truth seems much darker. Insiders now say the warning signs were there long before the DNA tests. While Snoop was promoting the image of a loyal husband, he was also dodging rumors about his own infidelity, rumors that began in the late 90s. In 1998, just 1 year after marrying Shante, he had a son, Julian, with another woman named Lori Holmes. Snoop publicly acknowledged the child, but people close to the couple say that admission caused a wound in the marriage that never fully healed. According to some, in his inner circle, Shante never forgot that betrayal and she used it as leverage. They claim she reminded Snoop who controlled the household, who managed the money, and eventually, who had a hand in guiding his career.
It's a strong black woman off the tippy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what makes this story even more complicated is that Shante isn't just Snoop's wife, she's also his manager, business partner, and the person who controls access to him. Since officially taking on that role in June 2021, she has overseen almost every part of his empire, his entertainment projects, his beverage deals, and even his 2023 purchase of Death Row Records. Publicly, Snoop has thanked her for keeping him grounded, saying he wouldn't be where he is without her guidance. But privately, those same contracts now feel more like restrictions. According to someone on his team, Snoop's lawyers are now questioning whether her influence came from love or from power. Things reportedly got worse early this year when Suge Knight, the former Death Row boss and longtime rival of Snoop, posted something online from prison. Many people ignored it at the time, thinking it was just more drama. In February 2024, Knight claimed on X that Shante had been taking private trips to Hawaii with another man. Snoop's team dismissed it back then as an attempt to stir chaos. But now, with these supposed DNA reports being discussed by lawyers, that message suddenly looks different. Could that have been the first public clue that something bigger was going on?
The few, like if we really dig, I believe we're going to find probably 3 or 4 dudes over the years that she had long-term side piece type relationships with.
In recent years, Shante has also been building her own brand. She runs Boss Lady Entertainment, manages music and film projects, and even helped launch a product line inspired by their daughter Corey's health struggles. From the outside, she has always seemed like the backbone of Snoop's personal and business life. But people have noticed a sudden change in Snoop's behavior over the past few months, especially during public appearances. This shift has led many to wonder if something is going on behind the scenes. In an NBC interview last fall, Snoop called her the good to my bad. But those close to him now describe a man who feels deeply hurt. If the rumored DNA situation turns out to be true, something no one on Snoop's team has publicly denied or confirmed, it could raise issues far beyond just family relationships. It would touch on inheritance, business ownership, and the future of a multi-million-dollar brand. All of Snoop's children have played a role in building the Brodus family image. Corday followed his father into music. Cordell moved into film and business. Corey developed her own music and beauty lines. And Julian built a career in tech. If these rumors were ever proven true, every partnership and brand deal tied to the Brodus family could face legal questions. The painful part is that Snoop has always built much of his public identity around being a dedicated father. In a 2015 interview, he said his relationship with his kids meant more to him than anything, calling it a mix of friendship, mentorship, and respect. Now, those old words hit much harder. Sources close to the situation claim this news has devastated him, describing his mood as controlled rage. They say he has quietly been meeting with lawyers in Los Angeles since late summer, preparing for a difficult confrontation with Shante, not only as her husband, but as a business partner.
If you look at it, They committed fraud. They committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong.
Meanwhile, Suge Knight's accusations have brought old problems from Snoop's past back into the spotlight. Knight, who once mentored Snoop during the early Death Row Records days, has been using his prison podcast to suggest that Snoop might have his own secrets. In one episode, he hinted that family issues were about to come out and tried to connect them to money disputes surrounding Snoop's 2023 purchase of Death Row Records. At the time, most people ignored his comments. But now, with everything happening, they almost sound like a hidden warning. Could Knight have known something before the public did? It's important to remember that Snoop and Knight's history is full of drama, from violent incidents to court cases in the mid-90s and years of public fighting. But in a surprising moment back in 2018, Snoop actually forgave Knight, calling him a real one. When Snoop later bought back Death Row, fans saw it as a full-circle moment and a chance for peace. Now, with these new personal rumors spreading that forgiveness may have accidentally reopened old tensions, turning things into a battle over reputation, ownership, and legacy. Industry insiders also point out that Snoop's business empire is closely tied to Shantae's management company. Many contracts list her as a co-executive on major projects, which means a divorce could freeze assets immediately. When you add Suge Knight's new claims and quiet rumblings about Snoop's past legal cases being looked at again, the situation starts to look much bigger than just a family issue. It's beginning to resemble a potential corporate meltdown.
You're going to establish yourself as a businessman. That I wasn't taught on Death Row Records. All my cars was in Suge Knight name.
Wow.
6. Those legal shadows have always followed Snoop. From his highly publicized 1996 trial to more recent civil complaints after concerts, he has spent years balancing fame with controversy. But insiders now say that, if these latest rumors are true, he sees this situation as the most painful blow of all, the one that turned the home he built over 3 decades into a battlefield. If the DNA rumors turn out to be real, one question hangs over everything. Who are the biological fathers of the Brodus children? And how long might this secret have been hidden beneath Snoop's carefully crafted image as hip-hop's favorite uncle? Some sources claim the speculation points toward people in the industry, while others whisper about men connected to Shantae's business circle. No names are confirmed, and none of these claims have been verified. Still, the sudden tightening of Snoop's inner circle and reports that he quietly moved out of the family mansion earlier this fall have fueled talk that a major crisis may already be unfolding privately. Now, every old photo seems to look different. The vow renewals, the family dinners, even the hospital visits during Corey's health struggles. Moments that once seemed unbreakable now appear, in hindsight, more fragile than anyone realized. For a man who built his public identity on loyalty and fatherhood, insiders say this situation cuts deeper than any diss track or industry feud ever could. And as he quietly prepares his legal response, there's one conclusion many close to the situation are starting to fear. This may not just be a divorce. It might be a full-scale corporate power struggle, and Snoop Dogg could be gearing up for the biggest fight of his life.
Yeah. But Snoop lying is the progression of Snoop Dogg. He's the growth into the maturity and has a third eye, and he's able to speak on issues that Snoop Dogg couldn't speak.
Snoop Dogg didn't become a global icon by avoiding a fight. And if the rumors are true, this time he isn't just fighting for his marriage, he's fighting for his name, his legacy, and everything he's built. Because if these DNA claims turn out to be real, then the situation goes far beyond a personal betrayal. Insiders say it would mean Shantae Brodus didn't just fail him as a wife, she may have betrayed him as a business partner, as a parent figure, and as the person who helped shape his entire public image. Everything that made Snoop the symbol of hip-hop's evolution, his loyalty, his devotion to family. His transformation from street life to respected elder suddenly feels at risk. What started as private heartbreak has reportedly turned into a full-blown business crisis, one that could completely reshape his legacy. Sources close to Snoop claim that the legal strategy forming behind the scenes is unlike anything he's ever pursued. His lawyers are preparing to argue that if the allegations are true, then the issue isn't just emotional, it could be financial deception. For more than 20 years, Shantae has managed Snoop's contracts, handled endorsements, and overseen licensing deals for everything from his beverage ventures to his digital projects. If she hid the truth about something as serious as paternity while presenting herself as the stable moral center of the Brodus brand, his legal team believes that could qualify as misrepresentation. It's a bold argument, but they reportedly see it as the only way to protect his estate. With Snoop's empire valued in the hundreds of millions, the stakes are enormous. If the courts side with Shantae in a divorce, she could potentially walk away with half of everything: the music catalog, business holdings, and even his share of Death Row Records.
When you get to be the age that we at and you get to become as successful as we are, you have to start doing some things that matter for the future.
8 behind those numbers is something even more serious: control. Shantae's role as Snoop's manager gave her power over his image, his schedule, and nearly every partnership he signed. That authority became official in 2021 when she was named his full-time manager, making her the executive mind behind much of the brand. But insiders now say that decision could be re-examined if the court believes she used her position to hide personal secrets or influence business decisions unfairly. Every deal she handled could be reviewed. That means audits, canceled contracts, and years of financial records being picked apart. For an artist whose entire second career was built on peace, growth, and reinvention, it's a brutal backward slide. But things get even stranger. In early 2025, Snoop's daughter Corey gave birth prematurely at just 25 weeks after facing serious health complications. Publicly, the family called it a miracle, a moment of unity during a difficult time. Privately, though, some insiders claim the situation may have been used to shift attention. They suggest that Corey's medical emergency kept the public focused on sympathy rather than the widening rift between Snoop and Shantae. Around that time, Snoop quietly removed several family photos from his social media, and Shantae started showing up alone at events. Back then, nobody questioned it. Now, people are wondering if the family had already hit a breaking point. Adding more fuel to the speculation, Suge Knight, once Snoop's mentor, now a longtime rival, has continued releasing cryptic comments from prison on his podcast. In February 2024, he accused Shantae of taking private trips with another man. Most people dismissed it as trolling, but recently, Knight doubled down, hinting that Snoop's rise to fame might have been guided from behind the scenes. According to his claims, Shantae wasn't just a supportive spouse, she was a strategist who placed herself at the center of every major business move, making sure no scandal ever reached the public without her approval. If even a small part of those claims turns out to be true, the consequences would be massive. This wouldn't just be a painful divorce, it could unravel one of hip-hop's most carefully crafted legacies.
And then everybody else was trying to get it, but it was hers. She didn't want to have the LLC. So when 2023 came out,
the questions just keep growing. How long did Shantae allegedly know the truth about the paternity tests? Did anyone else in Snoop's circle suspect something? And why would someone with her own successful business empire risk it all to maintain a family image? Some industry observers think the answer might come down to reputation management. Over the years, Shantae built her brand as a symbol of loyalty, the woman who forgave, rebuilt, and guided Snoop to stability. Without that story, her own image loses its foundation. In that sense, keeping up appearances may not have been just about saving a marriage, it could have been about protecting an empire. Meanwhile, those close to Snoop say the emotional toll is clear. Friends describe a man swinging between anger and detachment, retreating from the public eye, even as his name continues to trend online. He's survived court battles, industry, rivalries, and public controversy before, but insiders say this feels different. One source put it plainly: he's not angry like before. He's hurt, he trusted her with everything, even his name. And for an artist whose entire persona is built on calm authority, the cracks are beginning to show.
Then as soon as I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom and I threw up. And just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there and cleaned me up.
This unraveling also intersects with darker rumors that have followed Snoop since the death row days. Suge Knight's podcast has recently revived old claims, suggesting that some of Snoop's early success may have come with hidden strings deals, favors, and alliances that could now come under scrutiny. It's impossible to confirm, but the timing feels pointed. Every episode Knight releases seems to echo Snoop's current personal chaos, almost as if the old producer can sense vulnerability. For the first time in decades, the man once untouchable in music appears surrounded by legal threats, former allies turned critics, and an increasingly divided fanbase. Those who have worked with Snoop for years say this is the ultimate test of his persona. The laid-back peace-preaching icon, who once said he'd rather uplift than destroy, is now reportedly preparing for the most aggressive battle of his life. Behind the scenes, insiders say his legal team is combing through old contracts, joint assets, and even production rights from his earliest records. The goal is clear: separate Snoop's identity from Shantae's before the courts can merge everything into one financial pool. Doing so, however, may expose years of private correspondence, management decisions, and possibly even sensitive material that could involve other high-profile figures. Meanwhile, the cultural impact is already being felt. Fans who grew up seeing Snoop as a model of transformation from gang life to mainstream stardom are struggling to process this twist. The same man who preached family values on daytime talk shows is now facing rumors that his household may have been carefully orchestrated. Some sympathize, viewing him as a victim of manipulation. Others wonder if he, too, played a role by keeping up appearances for so long. This is the kind of contradiction that reshapes legacies. Because if the foundation of Snoop Dogg's empire was built on untruths, every accolade, every image of fatherhood, every motivational speech suddenly feels different.
You know, people see the Snoop Dogg that's polished up and shined up, but they didn't see the one that was a rock, that he's seen the diamond.
We can't ignore how the timing of this story overlaps with wider turmoil in the entertainment world. Other moguls, like Diddy, are facing criminal charges, and long-buried scandals are resurfacing across the industry. The old generation of power players is under unprecedented scrutiny. Snoop, once seen as the exception, the survivor who avoided disaster through wisdom and humor, may now be swept up in the same wave. The hip-hop community, already shaken by betrayals and lawsuits, is watching closely. If insiders' predictions prove accurate, this could mark the collapse of an era built more on image than reality. Every sign points to an all-out confrontation. Shantae, who hasn't made a public statement, is reportedly assembling her own legal team. Sources close to her say she plans to fight, arguing that she helped build the Brodus empire and deserves recognition and compensation. If that happens, the result could be one of the most public and bitter divorces in modern entertainment. Former label executives, family members, and even figures like Suge Knight could be called to testify. What began as private heartbreak could turn into a full-blown, televised reckoning.
I did 3 albums with Master P.
3 albums?
Yeah, when I left Death Row Records, I signed with No Limit Records, which was the hottest rap label in the industry.
For now, all we can do is watch as Snoop Dogg's world teeters between empire and exposure. The same man who once told the world to keep it real is now being forced to show just how real or how staged his life truly was. One thing is clear. This battle will not be fought quietly. Every move, every social media post, every court filing will be analyzed by millions. Because when the king of the West Coast faces turmoil at home, the ripple is felt far and wide. So we have to ask, if the truth finally comes out, will Snoop Dogg rise again as the survivor we've always known? Or will he become another cautionary tale in an industry built on appearances? This story is far from over. Until next time, stay curious, stay watching, and remember, in Hollywood, nothing is ever quite what it seems.